An ant colony can contain millions of individuals, yet nobody gives orders. There is no manager assigning shifts, no architect holding blueprints, and no commander shouting instructions. Even the queen is not really a ruler. She cannot tell workers where to search, when to fight, or how to build. And somehow, these tiny insects create organized cities, raise children, defend borders, farm food, manage waste, and survive disasters. The strangest part is that much of this complexity emerges from ants following surprisingly simple rules. So, how does an animal with a brain smaller than a grain of sand help build something that behaves almost like one giant organism? Start with the ant itself. Every ant has three main body sections: head, thorax, and abdomen. On the head sit two antennae, arguably among its most important tools. Ants use them to touch, smell, recognize chemicals, inspect food, communicate, and identify colony members. Their compound eyes can detect movement, although vision varies dramatically between species. Some ants see relatively well. Others depend much more heavily on smell and touch. Then there are the mandibles. These are not simply jaws for eating. Ants use mandibles like multi-purpose tools. They carry food, move eggs, cut materials, dig soil, fight enemies, and sometimes rescue trapped nestmates. Imagine walking through life with a pair of scissors, pliers, and forklift attached to your face. That is roughly the ant experience. 6 legs connect to the thorax, along with wings in reproductive ants during certain life stages. Workers usually have no wings. Queens and males often begin adulthood winged, because reproduction may require leaving the nest. But before meeting the workers, we need to clear up the biggest misconception. The queen is not the colony's boss. Her primary role is reproduction. In many species, young queens and males participate in mating flights. After mating, a queen may lose her wings and search for a suitable nesting site. Depending on the species, she may seal herself inside a chamber and begin producing eggs. At first, things can get difficult. A founding queen may have no workforce. She must survive while raising the first generation. In some species, she relies heavily on energy stored inside her own body until those first workers mature. Then, everything changes. The first workers emerge and begin taking over colony maintenance. They search for food, feed larvae, expand the nest, clean chambers, and protect their mother. The queen increasingly specializes in laying eggs. From those eggs come the future colony. Ant development follows complete metamorphosis. An egg becomes a larva. The larva grows while workers feed it. It then becomes a pupa before emerging as an adult ant. And this is where colony organization becomes fascinating. Not every ant performs the same job. Young workers in many species spend more time inside the nest. They care for eggs and larvae, clean chambers, handle food, or assist the queen. Older workers often perform riskier tasks outside, including foraging and defense. This division is flexible rather than perfectly scheduled. Nobody hands an ant a career plan. Workers respond to age, colony needs, environmental signals, and interactions with nestmates. If food becomes scarce, more individuals may begin foraging. If the nest is damaged, workers can rapidly switch toward repair. Some species take specialization even further. Certain ants have workers with different body sizes. Large individuals may defend entrances or crush difficult food. Smaller workers may care for larvae or navigate narrow tunnels. But coordination becomes truly impressive when ants leave the nest. Suppose one worker discovers food. She may eat some, then return home while depositing a chemical trail called a pheromone trail. Other workers detect that chemical using their antennae and follow it. If they also find food, they reinforce the trail. Now something remarkable happens. A useful route becomes chemically stronger because more ants use it. An inefficient route may receive less reinforcement and gradually disappear as the pheromone evaporates. No ant needs to understand the complete transport network. The colony solves the problem collectively. This principle is called self-organization, and ants are masters of it. Watch a busy trail and it may look chaotic. Zoom out, and patterns appear. Traffic flows. Food moves inward. Waste moves outward. Damaged areas receive attention. Defenders gather where threats appear. The colony has no central brain, yet information moves through thousands of interactions. Touch, smell, food exchange, movement, chemical signals. One ant knows very little. Thousands of ants interacting can produce astonishingly complex behavior. Nest construction follows the same principle. Ant nests can contain interconnected chambers for brood, food storage, queens, and waste. Some extend deep underground, yet the workers do not appear to follow a master architectural drawing. Instead, local behavior creates large-scale structure. An ant encounters soil in the wrong place, removes it, and carries it elsewhere. Another responds to humidity. Others react to airflow, temperature, crowding, or chemical traces. Millions of tiny decisions reshape the environment. Eventually, a functional nest emerges. And some ant societies become even stranger. Leafcutter ants do not actually eat the leaves they harvest directly. Workers slice vegetation and carry fragments underground. There, the colony uses plant material to cultivate fungus. Yes, some ants are farmers. The fungus becomes a major food source for the colony. Workers maintain fungal gardens, remove contaminated material, and constantly bring fresh vegetation. Other ants maintain relationships with aphids and similar insects. They protect them from predators and collect sugary honeydew. So agriculture was not invented exclusively by humans. Ants were doing versions of it millions of years before our species began farming. But ant society is not peaceful. Colonies defend territory intensely. Workers can bite, sting, spray defensive chemicals, or overwhelm intruders through numbers. Ants usually recognize members of their own colony, partly through chemical signatures on the body. An unfamiliar smell can mean danger. When rival colonies meet, the result may be anything from avoidance to violent conflict. Some ant species raid the nests of others. Some steal brood. Some queens invade existing colonies. Evolution has produced strategies that sound almost like political intrigue, except everyone involved is several millimeters tall. Still, combat is only one side of colony survival. Hygiene matters enormously. Thousands of insects living together create ideal conditions for disease. Ants groom themselves and one another. Workers remove dead individuals and contaminated material from sensitive nest areas. Some species use antimicrobial substances associated with their bodies, nests, or microbial partners. Waste management is not glamorous. But for an ant colony, sanitation can be a survival technology. Then there is food sharing. Many ants use a behavior called trophallaxis. One ant can transfer liquid food directly to another mouth to mouth. That sounds slightly unpleasant from a human perspective, but it allows resources to circulate throughout the colony. A worker returning from food may feed other workers. Those workers may feed larvae. Food becomes part of an internal distribution network. Yet the biggest surprise is what happens when individuals disappear. A worker may live weeks, months, or sometimes longer, depending on species and conditions. Queens of certain species can survive for many years. But the colony continues because individuals are replaceable components of a larger system. One ant dies. Another performs the task. A trail disappears. Another route forms. A chamber collapses. Workers rebuild. This does not mean ants are intelligent in the human sense. Individual ants have limited nervous systems and follow behavioral rules shaped by evolution. But when enough individuals interact, those simple responses can generate behavior far more sophisticated than any single ant could produce alone. Scientists call this emergence. Complex order can arise without a central planner. That is the real secret of an ant colony. The queen provides reproduction, but not government. Workers provide labor, but no single worker understands the whole system. Pheromones transmit information, but there is no language describing the colony's master strategy. There may not even be a master strategy. There are only countless local decisions responding to immediate conditions. And somehow, together, those decisions build highways, nurseries, farms, defenses, ventilation systems, supply chains, and living cities underground. So the next time you see a line of ants crossing a sidewalk, do not picture random insects searching for crumbs. You are watching one tiny section of a distributed society. Each ant carries only a fragment of information. Each performs a limited role. Yet collectively, the The colony can achieve things no individual could possibly understand. An ant is small. An ant colony is something entirely different. It is not simply a crowd of insects. It is a system built from cooperation, competition, chemistry, adaptation, and millions of tiny decisions. And perhaps that is the most fascinating thing about ants. Their extraordinary society works not because somebody controls everything, but because nobody has to.